By the end of today's video, I'll go into great detail about what XRP is doing, how that will affect its price, and what its total market capitalization will be if it accomplishes everything it set out to do. The information in today's video is dense, and many of the things you will learn have never been seen before, so pay close attention. I've been experimenting with some AI tools, and this is one of the most recent things I asked the Grok AI tool, which is excellent at math. In other words, I asked Grok to investigate XRP in the event that Bitcoin, the most popular cryptocurrency, rises to $13 million per coin. Now tell me why I chose $13 million per coin. Alright, so this is essentially the price at which Bitcoin will reach its global reserve status. This will undoubtedly occur if the US continues to purchase Bitcoin, which many US states do, and the same is true for Europe. People really like Michael Saylor because he believes that Bitcoin will reach $13 million per coin. What does that have to do with XRP? Maybe you're thinking, well, all cryptocurrencies have prices that go together even more so with Bitcoin most of the time. Then the other coins will follow. However, examining how Bitcoin and XRP have changed over time gives us a great idea. China and Russia are also using Bitcoin more and collecting it, and they use it for trade reserves and, of course, storing value. Since Bitcoin and altcoins have historically been positively correlated, XRP is likely to see significant price changes if Bitcoin searches for $13 million per coin, which is 158 times more than its current price of about $83,000. In the past, XRP has outperformed Bitcoin during bull markets. For instance, it gained 300 times in 2017 while Bitcoin only gained 20 times, and it gained 7 times in 2021 while Bitcoin only gained 5 times. What will XRP do if Bitcoin actually reaches $13 million per coin? That's a great question. According to a realistic estimate, XRP may rise from its current $25 level to $163.50, which would represent a market valuation of over $9 trillion $500 billion. Given how strong XRP is in times like these, when many other coins like Solana are losing value but XRP is holding its value very well, it makes much more sense for XRP to continue stealing market share from the dominant player in the area. However, if the market is extremely bullish, this could mean that the market value is $120 trillion $900 billion. Some of you may think that $20, $2,000, or $2.70 per coin is a lot of money, but this is possible in the long run, especially since XRP has increased by, say, 300 times before it happened. I asked the AI tool what the price of one XRP coin B would be if it were used for 50% of Swift's volume, and it also said that many financial institutions would have to accept it because of Ripple's partnerships with JP Morgan and Hidden Road. The SEC lawsuit must be resolved before regulations can be made clear, and the $2.8 billion additional P added in 2025 could lower the supply, which would cause prices to rise, even though $8 billion is anticipated to enter ETFs in 2025. This could also increase competition from stablecoins, such as CBDCs or other blockchains, but it could limit XRP's share, and a quick rate could stop the price. Rise between $312 and $562 is merely an estimate, and is predicated on the idea that neither the Swiss economy nor volume will see any significant changes. For example, a price of $625 indicates that the market is worth $36 trillion to $500 billion, roughly the same as the present value of gold, which is $16.20 trillion. Yes, they do provide additional information, but this is really odd. As you can see, the 3121562 range is insane. In the worst case, it's more than 10 times the current price of $2. In the best case, it's hundreds of times the current price of $2. The XRP community also wants to tokenize real-world assets, which is very significant given the circumstances. I asked Gruck how the price would change if all real-world assets were tokenized with XRP. This is where things get really crazy. If 10% of XRP were tokenized, you can see that the price of XRP could go up or down by between $4,000 and $40,000 per coin. This is a very optimistic view, right? If XRP is used to tokenize all real-world goods, it could be worth $411,000 each, which would be more like 4,000 cents per coin if it was only used for 10%. I think that's a reasonable goal we could achieve with XRP because it's one of the best cryptocurrencies and only costs 10% of real-world goods at the moment. It's ranked third. Indeed, I think that's a really practical way to look at what may be done here. I asked Rock assume that the XRPL handles 50% of all SWIFT transactions. What would happen to the price of XRP if 10% of RWA's real assets were tokenized on the XRPL and Bitcoin rose to $13 million per coin? In my opinion, all of these things are very likely to occur in the future. We can't be certain whether this will happen in 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, but I believe that most of you can agree that XRPL is superior to SWIFT in every way. It's very likely that 10% of RWA will be converted into tokens for a top 3 cryptocurrency that is also the leading cryptocurrency in its field, and I think it's likely that Bitcoin will eventually reach $13 million per coin in the direction we're going right now. Naturally, I asked Grok, "What do you think?" Grok responded with a detailed explanation. However, if 50% of switch deals occur on the XRPL, you can see that this is the correct response. If 10% of RWAs are tokenized and Bitcoin reaches $13 million, the price of XRP could range from $600 to $2,000 per coin in order to strike the correct balance between utility-driven value from SWIFT and RWAs. If speculators' demand for Bitcoin increases, the price of each coin could rise to $5,000 to $10,000, and in the worst-case scenario, I'm confident that we'll be above $1,000 per coin. Nevertheless, it's really cool to see that XRP has more than 100 times the potential of what it is now. I truly wanted to show you the $20.00 in XRP because it would be fantastic if the Ripple team could continue to meet their objectives and build relationships with large companies like Hidden Road. They will now be using XRPL for transactions worth billions of dollars. The idea that such things are possible is absolutely insane.